as an author myself, the one question, more than any other, that I don't like being asked is, who's your publisher? Because I have to say, it's me. And then I'm thinking, what are they thinking? They're thinking, oh, you're one of those self-published authors. I understand. Okay. So, I don't know how many people think that and how many people don't, but judging from what I've read, there does seem to be quite a negative attitude about self-publishing. There's my novel there, by the way. Get a little product placement in. Kion, it's called, and sort of a post-apocalyptic thriller. There's my my previous novel, Ulterior. Let me first of all talk about some books that I have read. First of all, these are self-published books. Here's one called Mind's Eye by a guy called Philip Henry. And it's really a really good supernatural thriller that's essentially kind of like The Catcher in the Rye with monsters. Undercover White Trash by David Kilpatrick, an excellent novel. It's all about this advertising executive who decides to go undercover and live with hillbillies, basically, and learn about their way of life. You can see by both these novels that the old proverb, don't judge a book by its cover, very much does apply. Because when you're a self-published author, you really are relying on yourself to either make the cover or hire someone, usually an amateur, to do the cover for you. So one of the drawbacks, I guess, of self-publishing is that you do have to look under the surface, and you can't judge a book by its cover. Let me also show you. I'm reaching down to another part of my bookshelf where the stinkers are located. Thankfully, there aren't too many stinkers. This is Survival Op. Terrific looking cover. Self-published book again. Not good. Not good at all, I'm afraid. And it's these kind of books, really, that last one, and the sea, the ocean of books like that, that cause people to put down self-publishing. And they'll say, you know, 95% of the books that are self-published are rubbish. And to that I would reply, yeah, that's true, but I would also add, so what? Now, let me expand on that. If you write a hopeless novel and you self-publish it, you will not get good reviews, therefore it will not sell, therefore it will sit either in your garage or as a digital file with the publishing house, and the world is no better or worse for your efforts. The point I'm making is that this ocean of bad books is essentially harmless to you as a consumer, because most of the time you never hear about them. So that's not really a reason to put down the self-publishing industry, is it? No, it's not. Fact is, there are gems out there that would never be seen otherwise, two of which I just showed you. Now, to go even further than that, that's fiction we're talking about. I'm going to reach down and take a couple more books off a shelf. This is kind of embarrassing to show you this cover. This is a non-fiction book, I Am Me, I Am Free by David Icke. David Icke is a conspiracy theorist, and also someone with some, I guess some people would think, some very strange spiritual views. But I read this book earlier this year and it totally blew my mind. I've actually bought a few more books by him. There's Tales from the Time Look, quite a tome. These are self-published books, and the reason they are self-published is not because they are stupid or because they are bad. It's because this author is prepared to say things that publishers would not accept. So, it is self-publishing that allows books that would not normally be published out of the fear of the publishers of being sued or whatever. It's that allows such books to be published, and that can only be good. You see, there's kind of a hypocrisy about the publishing industry if you believe that self-publishing shouldn't be done. Let me illustrate. Like you think of artists and bands producing music. If you're a garage band, or a garage band as they would say in America, everyone respects you. If you brought out your own CD and people listen to it, they go, hey, let me see that, let me hear that, great. You know, it's like the same stigma for some reason doesn't exist there. You take a British band Depeche Mode, who've been around from the 1980s and are still around. They created their own record label, Mute Records, and they released all of their material on that. And they are internationally successful. And no one ever looks at them and goes, oh, you're one of those self-published bands, are you? See, let me illustrate what really goes on in a publishing house. Let's say I had written this really terrific vampire novel. And let's say I had put in it all kinds of stuff about sin and temptation and how we deal with it. And there was all this kind of really insightful stuff about human nature thrown in there. And I had written this and I had thought, hey, people are going to love this here. And I approached some agents and they look at it and they say, vampire novel. Sorry, but vampire novels aren't really in vogue these days, you know. People have been watching Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, and we really want more wizards and warlocks and things. This is what people are buying these days, you know. Vampires, that's so 1990s, you know. Sorry, bye-bye now. That is the kind of thing that happens at a publishing house. How do I know that? Because the people who work there are not interested in art. They are businessmen and they are interested in product. Okay? So they've got all their charts and their market demographics and things, and they're only interested in doing the same thing that everybody else is doing to maximize profits. Right? So you may have written a masterpiece and it will go completely unnoticed because it's not in vogue at the moment. So why do these authors seem to think that they have made it, they're the ones who've made it, and the self-published ones, well, we just put our boot down on those guys? That's not the case at all. You know, these guys that work in these publishing houses who get to say yes or no to someone's manuscript, who are they really? You know, they're just people who went through university, got their degree, got a job, and that's all they're doing. They're just people doing a job, trying to make money for their firm. That's all it is. So why would you ever think that just because they said, you're okay, that makes you better than the self-published authors who are doing it on their own? You're not. Because you know, the real judge of you as an author is not these editors, it's your readers. So I can point to my novels and I can point to the great reviews they've received and I can think, people like them, done it, made it. For me as a reader, I can go along to Tesco and scan along the shelf and I can find maybe two or three other books that, you know, you can tell they're like a Da Vinci Code spin-off by the cover and by the title. Not only are the publishing houses only interested in putting out product, sometimes authors are only interested in writing product. I hope you understand the difference. You know, there's such a thing as writing from the heart, writing what you want to write, regardless of market trends and everything, regardless of how much money you might or might not make from this. You know, those are not the kind of books that I'm interested in either writing or reading. And the cool thing about self-publishing is that you, as a writer, you don't have to care. You can write whatever you want to write and you can put it out there for readers to read. And what does that make self-publishing? Not something to stick your boot on top of. Self-publishing is the salvation of the publishing industry. That's what I think. How many books have I sold? Combined, 2 novels. So far, roughly about 1,500. And that means something. Whatever way you look at it, there's no denying that. So good luck to anyone who wants to do self-publishing, because there is every reason to do it.